welcome back. I'm Jenna.
I'm Kristen.
And I'm Brooklyn, and this is the Yeah, No, I Know podcast.
Hello.
Welcome.
What are we talking about today?
Yeah.
So
Kick
today,
us off.
you can always tell who picks the topic because we look at the person and goes, what are you talking about today? It's hard to come up with topics, you guys.
Yeah.
So we kind of
You guys got to help us out. Give us some topics to talk about.
exactly, help us out. And also know that sometimes maybe all three of us don't necessarily have something to say on that subject. So two of us or one of us may talk more than the other, vice versa, whatever.
Yeah. Like breastfeeding.
Yeah.
Jenna's not currently breastfeeding right now.
Or in the last 2 decades.
Yeah. But so one thing that we do all have in common is that we are mompreneurs. And I kind of love and hate that word. It's so silly, but it's like the new, remember when Boss Babe was the thing? It was hashtag Boss Babe. Now it's hashtag mompreneur.
I'm sure it is.
What does it mean exactly?
You're a mom and an entrepreneur?
Correct.
Actually, I haven't heard that.
I hadn't heard that until you put it on the list.
Oh, it is such a thing. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
And I think the reason it's become a thing because there's a lot of women who are, starting their businesses. And I think we just see a lot more female, owned businesses nowadays. And how do you balance the mom life and the work life? When you're giving so much to one area, another area is going to lack. So it's really hard being a mom and being a business owner or, and it's not to say that people who aren't business owners don't have those same struggles. It's just any woman in the work life. Because reality is a lot of people in America today need 2 incomes to survive. So there's not as many stay-at-home moms. But then you have the stay-at-home moms now who are home and they're doing an MLM or they're doing some sort of side hustle where it's
Etsy
a work from home. Yeah. So they are, bringing in the bacon as well. So I thought it'd be a fun one to talk about.
Yes. And we can tell you how old all of our children are. Mine is 3 months as of yesterday. It's so crazy.
Yeah. Mine, let's see, what's today? The 15th. He's almost 13 months. So he just turned a year. Yeah.
Mine is 4,687 months. No, I'm just kidding. Mine are 17 and 20. Just 20. Almost 21.
You guys probably have the work mom balance figured out better than I do. Mine has been very challenging. I had a very fussy baby, and by had, I mean that she has gotten quite a bit better, and I'm starting to learn her more. I am learning what the cries mean exactly, and I know when she's tired and she needs a nap. Speaking of which, as of a few days ago, I have been able to put her down for a nap for an hour to 3 hours, which is incredible because if you've watched my Instagram stories at all or watched my YouTube channel, it's been a struggle because she would nap 45 minutes spread out throughout the entire day, and that's all I would get, and I couldn't get anything done. So as of a couple days ago, not to jinx or anything, we put her in her little Ollie swaddle, put her in her little crib, put a sensory lullaby video on, and she just knows the routine now and passes out. And so I'm finally able, the other day I was I need to, I was taking my time, organizing my office and everything so I feel good in there to film because when it's haywire and messy, I just don't get creative or whatever. And I felt I haven't had a lot of time to be creative lately because I've been so overwhelmed with momming and figuring that whole thing out. So anyways, I was doing it all slow and I was I should probably hurry the fuck up because she could wake up at any moment. And then I was wait a second though. She's still sleeping and it's been over an hour. This is incredible. So I'm finally having some time to actually eat food and do things.
That's amazing.
It's been really nice. And I did actually hire someone to come over and nanny and housekeep for 3 days a week. Unfortunately, that did not work out. It does not work for me having my child in my house because if I can hear her crying, I can't concentrate and I want to go fix it.
The mom guilt, the anxiety, it's real.
So yeah, did you, what's your journey been like?
Well, it's a little different for me because I don't work from home. So my mom guilt has been different because mine is I have to physically leave my child and leave my house and go work and be away from him for hours at a time. Yeah, it's you always think the grass is greener because to me, I'm I'm like, oh, I'm envious that Kristen can like work from home. Like I can't do hair from home, you know, unless
There's
I start.
pros and cons for sure.
Right. But there's pros and cons to both, you know. So for me, if my kid's crying and having a meltdown, I'm not there to hear it, you know. So I'm able to just work and do what I need to do, you know. But the mom guilt is, man, it is just such a real thing that women struggle with. And it's like, no matter what you do, you're always going to have it. And I feel like the best thing is that I've just learned to really like start asking myself questions and like practical questions like, okay, my child is not starving. He's not deprived of, you know, love. He has someone taking care of him. Like just being like, okay, he's okay, Brooklyn. Like you can, like I was out with my girlfriends the other night and it was one of her birthdays. And so we were at an event and wanted to go out to like a bar afterwards. And I mean, we're talking, it's like 10 o'clock at night. Like my kid is sound asleep. And I felt this like anxiety, like this guilt, like I need to get home. I need to get home. Like also because I felt like I'd been gone all day at work. My poor husband was like taking care of him all day. And then here I am like out partying, having a good time. And my husband's stuck at home, like watching our kids sleep, you know? And I was like, okay, but he's okay. My husband's okay. Like
that's where my guilt comes in, is with my husband.
Yeah.
I don't feel, maybe it'll come later, but I don't feel guilty leaving my kid for a while I go do something. I actually like love it. I need time alone, but I feel bad for Nick because he's watching her the whole time, you know? And so I feel bad, like I need to get home and relieve him from that.
Mm-hmm. So, it's a lot for one parent.
Yeah.
Jenna would know.
Neither one of my kids I really had their dads. So I had the exact opposite, where I think I had more like resentment. Like they weren't here to help. They weren't there to, even when they were there, they weren't really there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My son's dad was involved, but we broke up when he was like 9 months old, and he was very involved. But when our relationship ended, he kind of, I think it was hard for him to like disassociate me and Dylan, you know, like I think being around Dylan probably reminded him of like being hurt. So that kind of like was hard. And I feel like maybe when he looked at Dylan, he saw me.
Dylan reminds him of you, kind of a thing.
Yeah, I think so. So I think that like kind of took a toll on that side. But then he moved to like Hawaii. So he was like, you know, like gone, and Dylan would just go over there for like a couple months during the summer. So it was basically like my mom that would help, my mom and my dad that helped me a lot. So I don't think I really had as much of the guilt part of it, because to me it was like I was the only one providing for my kids. So for me to provide and to go to work was me being a good parent and providing for my kids, which is probably why I'm such a hard worker, is because to me that was how much I loved my kids, because I was the only one providing for them. I did not get child support, and what I did get was pennies, and it was from just my son's father. My daughter's father, I've never seen a dime. So yeah, I guess it's a little bit different for me. And I mean, I do have guilt now more so than I think I ever did. Because I'm running out of time. Like the time is like now coming to an end, where like when your kids are younger, it's kind of like you can never really imagine them being 18. Like that's so far in the future. Yeah. You're just like one day, and then you blink and you're there. So now it's like anytime I can be home, I want to be home, even if like I'm not like doing something with like Skylar, or because she's the only one home now. Even if we're just in the same house, like I just want to be there just in case, you know, just in case she feels like coming up and saying hi, or just in case she comes up and wants to, you know, watch a show with me. I want to be there to take in those moments. So, but yeah, I think it's a little bit different for me in that way, because I didn't have that other person, and the other person that I did have to help me, it wasn't their responsibility. So it was like, it's like this guilt of like guilt that's almost like put on you because it's not their responsibility. It's not their kid. You know what I mean? So now you're like, oh, now I'm putting my kid off on my parents. And, you know, so I didn't get to share the responsibility. But in that, you also don't have that person that like when you kid takes their first step, or you're at a soccer game and you're like, that's our kid. Like we made that, you know, it's just you look over and you're like, oh, yeah, cool. Good job, kid. I'm here for you. You know, so I never got to experience that. So yeah, I feel like I just did what I needed to do, and I feel like I found a good balance. Actually, I think I'm kind of at the end, and I'm kind of like, obviously I have regrets and I have things that I wish I did differently, but I'm kind of proud of myself, and I look at my kids and I'm like, damn, they're amazing. Like, I must have done something right, or I was just really lucky.
I've heard your stories. I think you are an awesome mom. Thanks. I love I would film them and show it to them and roll down the window and be like, they're watching you. I told Nick those like stories, and he was like, we are so doing that. And I was like, yeah, I think it is really great. So yeah, and the fact that your kids are great, and like I love how like Skylar's just your little best friend.
She is.
It's so cute.
She is. I may not be hers, but at least I'm like, you will never ever. I'm like, you will never question how much like I care or anything like that. So my son, it's a little bit harder. It's hard when you don't have the same interest. Remember how we were talking in one episode how like sometimes you just click. Me and my son have nothing in common. Like he likes video games. He likes musicals. He likes. So it's like anything that we want to do together is work. Because we have to find something that both of us don't really love, but don't really hate.
That's
so it's like
watching TV with Nick. We don't like any of the same.
Yeah,
TV shows
it's like you're constantly compromising.
Yeah.
So when he comes home, we go on walks. We both like to walk, so we go on walks together and we talk and all that kind of stuff.
You guys are gonna have to find a hobby that you like to do together.
Yeah, I think once he graduates from college, hopefully I can get him to move back out here, or I can get a vacation home in Washington, and then maybe like we can find grown-up stuff that we'll bond more on, and he'll get all the video gaming playing out of his system. So we'll see.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, it's and one thing I was gonna say, how you said like we probably have the mom working thing figured out, is it's ever evolving.
I was gonna say I don't think anyone ever feels like they have it figured out.
And once you do, it's gonna change.
Yeah.
Because your kids they're gonna go through phases so quickly, and the minute you feel like you have it figured out,
I keep hearing that.
There is a new problem to solve. There is a new hurdle to get over. There's something to maneuver. Like, it's just, I think being flexible, being open, and being aware that things are going to constantly change and being able to move with it is so important.
And then adding a second kid, that really changes the dynamic a lot. I heard like going from 1 to 2 is like extremely hard.
Yes.
I can't even imagine having 2 kids right now. 1 is so much work. And not to compare myself to single moms, because that is a whole different thing. And my mom was a single mom and you were, and it's very hard, and I can only imagine. But sometimes I am a solo parent for like 4 days in a row, with Nick being a firefighter, and that's difficult. I'm like now that he's home right now, he's off for like another few days, and he's like, I'll like take her tonight and do like the feeding and all that in the middle of the night, and when she cries and stuff, and I'm like, oh, I can sleep. But when he's gone for 4 days, of course he's working, he's not like off having a joyride or something, or on vacation. But it's like, it's a lot.
Yeah. And with 2, what you don't realize is that you're going to have even, neither of you have 2 yet, but the mom guilt kicks in even more, because now you have to figure out how to balance attention and affection, and like, oh, this kid feels this and this kid feels this. And it's like you are constantly like, oh my God, am I giving this kid too much or this kid too little, or vice versa? And then if you have exterior people commenting on that as well, it's awful. It's really, really hard.
So when Nick's gone, how do you get your work done? Is that just like when she's napping, you try and fit it all in?
I don't.
Oh, you just don't?
I don't get it done.
Okay. Because, some moms don't, if you don't get your work done, yes, it sets you back, but there's no one who's like, this has to get done this day at this time, right? And that's perks of being an entrepreneur, right? Yeah. So I'm curious, what, I don't know, I'm like, is there anything we can do to help moms or give them advice, how to get stuff done, how to be a mom, or at least a work from home mom? You know?
It's now that she's napping more than she was, that's when you got to get stuff done. Yeah. And, take the help that people want to give you. Like if someone was like, hey, I'll come pick your baby up for a little bit and whatever. And I think that's why a lot of people around the 3-month mark or 2-month mark, unfortunately, have to put their kid in daycare, because they have to go back to work. And I'm so lucky that I don't have to do that. But it does make it hard working from home because she's always there.
Yeah.
And which I love, obviously, but it does make it difficult because like I want to get stuff done, and that's my me time to like film videos and like, you know, just go do the dishes or something. Like I want to be able to do that. So it's really nice when Nick's home but now we have to say like, he's like, hey, can I go work on the truck for a little bit? And I'm like, yeah, I'll watch her. And so, I try to like just relax with her and watch TV shows that I want to watch because she's at the age where like I can watch whatever I want on TV and she's not like, hey, can I put this on? You know, she can't talk. So, but yeah, it does make it difficult. And I'm trying to think of like tips that I could give, but I'm so fresh as a mom that like I don't know if I have anything in my back pocket.
Maybe we don't feel guilty. Like I feel like people say it takes a village, right? Like,
and it really does. I so understand that now.
Want to help you. Like that's something that I did struggle with, was like feeling guilty that I had my mom or my dad helping me. But I'm like, most people have a significant other. Most people have friends. Most people have aunts and uncles or grandmas and grandpas close. So like I don't need to feel bad that my mom or my dad helped me with my kid. You know, like that's okay. So I think it's okay to accept help and have people watch your child guilt-free and do what it is that you need to do. Because at the end of the day, if you don't feel like relief or like you're able to unwind, your child is 1000% going to pick up on that.
Right.
Like they literally lived in you. Like they can feel your stress. So I think it's more beneficial to the child for you to be able to relieve stress in your own way, whether that's working, meditating, walking, drinking, I don't know, like do your thing, you know, whatever's going to make you unstressed and unfrazzled so that you can be there for your kid is the best thing you can do.
Yeah. Or work at night when they're sleeping too. I mean,
but
that's
sleep's
hard because you need
important
to get
too.
sleep.
Yeah, you absolutely need to get sleep.
And just your downtime too. And I feel like for me, it's so hard right now finding the balance of everything. And I did this like exercise a couple of years ago of like, what are your core values? And I feel like I kind of hound in on core values, but one of my like top 3 things is balance. Like I crave and want and need balance in my life. And so trying to find balance between being a mom, being a wife, you know, working, being a hairdresser, and then also like I'm trying to get my body back after having the baby and like finding that time to do stuff for myself that's also not just working out, you know, like finding time to read a book or do things that I enjoy that make me happy and bring me joy. And I feel like it's just been such a struggle trying to find that balance, and also of like your time with other people, like friends and like, you know, family, and not feeling like you're letting people down or disappointing them. And like, that's what I struggle with the most. And I definitely don't have it figured out. I'm trying to figure it out. On another podcast, but they talked about that at different times of your life, different areas require and need more attention, you know? So like if you're building and starting a business, you know, that area needs more time and attention, and that's okay to, you know, take time away from family or friends or other things that aren't, you know, as vitally important in that moment, you know. And then there will be other times where you need to, you know, really focus on your kids or your marriage or whatever, you know. So I'm trying to find grace for myself in that and be like, okay, where am I at right now? What needs the most attention? And like not having the guilt of like letting other things not be as big of a priority, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think like, so when I had my kids and they were younger, I was not, well, at least in my mind, I wasn't trying to build a business. I was just doing hair. You know what I mean? Which I guess you could say is a business, but like I don't technically look at doing hair as my own business. I look at that as doing hair, right?
Because it's like a self-employed sort of thing.
Yeah. So I wasn't trying to build a business while my kids were young. And I think that it's reflecting what is your priority right now. If your priority is spending time with your kid and taking in that time, I don't think that's the time to build a business. Because it's different. Doing hair is already hard as it is because it's so sporadic. You have to be, like, if you're trying to build your clientele, it is a very hard industry. And you have to be available. You have to say yes to everything. You have to be available when your clients are if you want to build. So that in itself, like, I would just like set aside, like, these are the 4 days that I work. I can go in and go out whenever I want, guilt free. And then the other days are to my kids. But if you're wanting to build a business, and I mean like true entrepreneurial, true putting balls to the walls, that is like you are forfeiting your money, your time, and it is risky. You may not get that time or that money back, and it may not come to fruition. And if your priority is your children and your family, that is not the time to be an entrepreneur. That may not be.
Unless it's not a serious endeavor, like, if it's just Etsy or something.
Well, see, I guess I don't see that as being an entrepreneur. To me, that's owning a business. And I think those two things might be a little bit different.
Business is like 24/7.
And it's sporadic. It is not, like if you're, building a business where you have employees and you have people that depend on you for their paycheck and for their children to eat, that's a whole nother thing. You know what I mean? So the stresses that I have now, I don't think I could do that if my children were young. The only reason I'm able to take on employees and take on people that depend on me and know that, like, if I don't have them work, they don't eat, is because my kids are older. So I would not have taken that on with my kids being younger. Yeah. It just wouldn't have. It wouldn't have been good for me. It wouldn't have been good for them. And I see how much of my time and my energy and like the stress that it puts on me now. And there's no way that I would have been a good mom or been able to like focus on them and see when they're hurting and see when they're needing me more and seeing when they need me to back off and notice those signals if my mind was focusing on other things. So.
Yeah, that's powerful. Like basically either like you're trading time for money when you're, an employee versus one quadrant. Okay, you're a business owner, but really you're just self-employed. Like right now, that's where I'm at because I have to go to work and spend time to physically bring home any kind of money. Yep. And then there's like, I think they call it the investor side of things where you're making passive income, right? Mm-hmm. Like you don't have to be there. You don't have to show up in order to make money. And like, gosh, I feel like that's the American dream, right? And I feel like especially for moms, if you can get to that point to where you don't have to be there so that you can spend your time somewhere else, and you're still making an income, that is the dream. That's something that I absolutely want to work towards. Yeah. And I heard recently that
you won't stop there though, because that's me, and I'm not done. Yeah. I'm like, not to interrupt you. I just wanted to comment on that because it is the American dream, and it is. And I am like, why am I even stressing about not working or whatever? But now I'm like, what's next? I want to get my fingers into something. It's like in your blood. Yep. So it's like, I could just sit here and do and be a mom for the next 5 years, and I will pretty much make the same amount of money, but I need to do it. Mm-hmm. I need to do it. That's just my thing. So yeah, I can't build anything the way that I built like Arctic Fox. Like I couldn't do that.
Yeah, your time's divided now.
I mean, that was literally like I worked 24/7. Anyways. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's amazing, and I'm so grateful for it. But I'm also like, what's next? What am I going to work on next?
I always remember thinking like, if I made X amount of dollars, I would be set. I make more than that now, and I'm like, it's not enough. And it's not that it's not enough money. It's that I have different dreams and ambitions now. Like you said, like now I want to be able to not only just be able to have passive income, but I want my kids to be able to have that. That's what I want to do. Now, does that mean everybody wants to give their kids money and whatever? No, but like that's why I do it. Like that's why I want to do it. I want my kids to not worry about it.
Exactly. Yeah. But at least if you like have the ability to do that, you can pick and choose the days that you feel like working or not. Exactly. You know what I mean? Which is something a lot of people don't unfortunately get the opportunity to do. Yeah. Which is sad. Yeah. Because it's really nice to be able to spend that time with your children. Yeah. And not feel like you have to work to bring money home, you know?
Yeah. I don't have to, I still have to work to bring home money, but it has been nice being a business owner and being a mom because there was a morning where Jensen wasn't feeling good and he was sick, and I had the, ability.
Yeah, you didn't have to call a boss.
Right, exactly. I didn't have to call anyone. I didn't have to call in sick or be like, can I have time off? Or, I just called my clients, hey, this is the situation, and I moved them. Like, or, hey, we're taking off this weekend to go on a family vacation, So it is really nice to have
choices.
Yeah, to have that kind of control over my business. Like Jenna said, though, to an extent, if you are trying to build in this business, like people come in being a hairdresser and they think, oh, I have so much freedom and I get to make my schedule. No, not in the beginning. Your clients make your schedule. I've been doing it for 11 years. It's a little different, you know?
I know people are always like, oh, you don't have a boss. I'm like, no, I have thousands of bosses.
Yeah.
They sit in my chair every day and they all want something different.
Right. But one tip that I learned recently that I really love, everyone says like, oh, there's only 24 hours in a day and like you can't buy time. It's wrong. You can buy time. And I loved this analogy. So they're like, there's different ways for this. But what they said was you can either spend your time, right, that you'll never get it back, or you can invest your time. So for a small example is auto pay. You can spend an hour sitting there paying your bills every month or however long, right? Or you could spend an hour and set up auto pay on all of those bills. And that way now you have gotten that hour back, right? And so I was like, I just was really blown by like just the shift in the mindset of thinking like, okay, I can actually create more time in my day. Like maybe not physically add more hours. You can really only add more hours if you have other people working for you making money, right? Because now that's increased. But you can find ways to invest your time so that it gives you back more time. And so,
yes, but like money, you will find more ways to fill it or to spend it.
That's true.
I have very much learned how to delegate lately in the past year.
It's so hard to do.
It's
Oh my
very
gosh,
hard to
it's so
do,
hard.
but I have a really, really great friend / personal assistant, whatever, who I trust with everything. And she has literally taken on massive amounts of everything from like salon work to bills to helping me clean sometimes.
Everyone needs a faith.
Everyone needs a faith. Let me tell you.
She's amazing.
But then I also have like my my team who's like helping me out and stuff. But now I'm filling it with more things because I want to do so much, you know? And I'm like, I only have one life on earth and there are so many things I want to do.
Yeah.
There's so many things I want to do. And so you will find ways to fill that time. So that's why I say if I give you my time, I am giving you my everything because you cannot buy time. You can relieve some time, but you can't I can go and buy whatever, but I can't get more time.
Yeah.
Because I'll fill that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like everyone, like, you work to try to, what's the phrase? It's like you work so that you can have the money to, like, do things, you know, but then.
I say I work really hard now so I can be lazy later.
Well, there you go. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah. But then, like, it gets flipped where it's like you start, rather than trading your time for money, you start trading your money for time.
That's where I'm at right now.
Yes. And I think I'm getting there with some things in my life. Like, just as mundane as like cleaning my house, it's like that has like taken such a back burner to like working, being a mom. On my days off, it's like I don't want to just clean my house. I'm kind of getting to that point where I'm like, maybe I need to start trading my money for time so that on my days off, I don't have to be cleaning my house. I can spend it with my husband and my child or my friends, or, you know, or working on another business or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
I want to say for like stay-at-home moms, whether you work from home, like Kristen said, you know, she got help. My sister works from home and takes her kids to daycare. Like, that's also okay too.
Yeah.
But I know a mom who's just like a stay-at-home mom, and she's like, I have 3 kids, and she's like, I still need help with stuff. And I feel like, I don't think our viewers would like attack stay-at-home moms, like, because there probably are some, but I feel like some people do, and they think like, oh gee, like, why do you need to hire someone to help you? Like, you stay at home all day. And like, oh my gosh, Kristen and I, like, yeah, like staying at home with one kid for even like a couple of days is like, I have so much props for you, Jenna, because I don't know how single moms do it. Like, I'm not
a single mom now. I swear I'm married.
Well, I know.
He exists, but
He exists.
No, but no, I mean, I do all the cleaning. Well, I shouldn't say all. Ken helps sometimes, but like, yeah, I do the cleaning. I do the work. I do but that's one thing I need to do. I'm okay with hiring people to clean the salon, but like my home, I'm like really weird about that.
You just need to find the right person you trust.
Yeah. You said you're good at cleaning. No, I'm kidding.
I owned a cleaning business a long time ago, actually.
No, I just need to find somebody I trust, I think, because I don't really like people in my home.
So that was a kind of for me too. When I hired that lady, she was with us for a couple weeks, and it was just odd having someone in my house all the time. And it wasn't her. It wasn't her personality.
No,
it wasn't
no.
her as a person. It was just that when I'm in the middle of filming and I come out to my fridge, I don't want to see somebody and have to talk to them if I don't want to.
Or like,
oh my gosh,
put clothes on.
Yeah, I don't want to let my titties hang out.
Yep.
Like, I don't want to wear a bra. It ain't happening. So, yeah, it was kind of bizarre. But to what Brooklyn's saying, too, I talked to a lady that lives nearby who does childcare. So I'm going to be taking Harlow over there one day a week. And she was saying that she even has a stay-at-home mom who drops her kid off once a week to have time for herself, to just do whatever the hell she wants to do.
Yeah.
Because just because you're a stay-at-home mom doesn't mean you want to fill all your time with like all the boring shit like cleaning your house, or you know what I mean? Like you deserve to have time for yourself.
Yeah. Like you always don't just want to like play pretend with your child. Like you want to read a book or do something else, you know?
Yeah, put makeup on, like be a human being again.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm at a weird stage where it was just survival mode. And I'm finally kind of getting out of that, where I'm like, okay, let's have a routine. She's taking her naps. I know what that looks like when she needs naps. I know what I can do to fix the crying. Like I know what's going on for the most part. I mean, her gas has gotten way better, so she's not as cranky and fussy, but it's like now I'm getting into the area where I'm like, okay, what is balance? Like how do I balance things? Because before it was just survival mode.
Yeah.
It didn't matter what, there was no balance. There was no working. There was no trying to get things done, because that was my it's still my priority, of course, but like she was so fussy. It was just like all day I was just trying to keep her happy, you know? I couldn't even eat hardly.
Yeah.
So now I'm kind of getting to a point where I'm like, okay, she's napping. What am I doing?
Yeah.
You have to get really good at prioritizing when you're a mom.
Well,
like,
and not procrastinating, because like
Yes.
even though like they're down, cannot compare what I'm doing to what you're doing, but like to mentally prepare to sit down and like edit something or like break it apart and put it back together. And what are you trying, like you have to like, it takes like a good hour just to get in the zone.
yes. Yeah.
Like
It does.
it's insane. And then you start doing it and then somebody comes in and you're like, oh, where'd that clip go? And what was I trying to do? And it's like,
yeah.
by
Yeah.
the time you get into it, she's probably waking up.
Yeah.
Or by the time
Yeah.
you get your makeup on.
Yeah, exactly. Like if I'm there alone, I can't really plan to film something when she's napping because I have no idea when she's going to wake up. So it's like I have to take her somewhere. And like yesterday I filmed something, and normally I would like to sit down and like write down everything I want to go over in the video and what am I going to talk about first, and like make sure I take a product shot and hold it in front of the camera and stuff. But I feel so frazzled. Like at the end of filming, I was just like, I feel like I just kind of like threw that together because I didn't know how much time I had. And so I didn't take the time to sit down and like write down. And then at the end I was like, oh shit, I didn't do that. I didn't say that. I wanted to talk about that, but I didn't.
Yeah. It's
And
like
it's
trying
like-
to foil somebody's head while your baby's crying. It's like you can't be creative and think while
Right.
like your kid like wants your attention.
And you're being rushed.
Yeah, because you have to be creative. Like you have to come up with these things because people are paying you to be creative and
Yeah.
advertise for them or whatever.
I've had no time to be creative. That's
Yeah.
been I've been robbed of that lately. But
Well, and then
it's
you
okay.
have your husband guilt on top of it, and then
Yeah.
and then and neither of you have parents close, huh?
I have my in-laws close.
Yeah. Well, then there's parent guilt too. You know, like, am I spending enough time with my parents? Am I spending enough time with my husband? Am I spending enough time with my kids? Am I spending enough time with my job? It's like,
Yeah. Yep.
it's fun.
I know. Yeah, it's hard for me because like my husband, he can work from home. So thankfully we haven't had to like take Jensen to a daycare or anything, but Jensen was a lot easier in the beginning, and now that he's like a toddler and he's walking around and he just requires so much more like hands-on attention, and now it's
Yeah.
getting harder for my husband to like work from home and get anything done with
Yeah.
Jensen outside of his like nap times. And so like I think we're going to have his mom come over like at least one day a week and like be there, even though Andy's still going to be home, but
Yeah.
you know, just so that he can get work done, you know? So, and that's why like I feel so guilty, like on top of like mom guilt, like leaving, it's like I also am like relying on my husband, like putting all of that weight and that burden on him to like take care of our child, you know? So it's definitely, you know, it's a learning curve and you just navigate it. I don't think there's an answer. You just do what's best for the whole, right? It's not
In that
just-
moment.
Yes.
It's moment to moment.
Yeah.
Like, you decide what's best in that moment.
Yeah,
'Cause-
for everyone.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's not easy.
Oh, it's not. I think being a mom's like the hardest thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
It's
Just
hard.
wait till they don't want you anymore. So your kids are like, no, I'm good. I don't want to hang out with you.
That's so sad.
Oh, it definitely makes me be like, I wish I could rewind. And every time that I was like, I'm working, be like, no, come here.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, now I'm like, come here. And she's like, no, I'm good. I'm good. I'm going to go hang out with my friends. I'm like, come hold me. Come hold me. Like, come be
I
with
feel
me.
like that's such good advice.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. Like,
you know, like
don't turn your kids away. Because there's going to be a day, I promise you, like, my daughter is amazing. My son is amazing. But, like, actually, my son would still cuddle me. You know you would, Dylan. My daughter's a little bit more, I feel like girls get that way with moms.
Yeah.
Boys, I feel like they love their moms. They'll cuddle you till the day you die. But, like, girls and moms, it's a little bit harder.
My mom always tries to cuddle with me. I'm like, don't touch me.
Right.
Yeah.
It's different for the daughter to the mom. I don't know. What do you like?
I'll still go with my mama.
Okay, so
love
I feel like that's my cousin's like that too. But like I don't
want my
know.
mom
So
to touch
just
me.
take it while you can, because there will be a day where they're like, "No, I'm good. I'm good. I love you, but I'm good."
That's what I've been trying to do to like think about that like right now. Cause obviously I want to go and like do stuff and have my own time and whatever. But then I'm like, yeah, but like you have the luxury of not doing that if you want to. So I do need to take advantage of the time that I have with her, because she's never going to be this age ever again.
There's probably so many women that like envy your situation. You know, where
Yeah, I'm
you
sure.
get to
I'm so
like,
lucky.
be home and just be comfortable in finances and like not have to do anything. So yeah, take full advantage of that.
I
and
remind
just-
myself of that all the time, because the other day I was like, I can't imagine the stress I would have on top of everything if I had to worry about money right now. And I just get to enjoy my child right now.
Yeah.
And that's priceless.
Yeah.
And like, I was just I put myself in situations in my head to like remind myself of things. And I just was sitting there like, gosh, what if I had to go back to work next week because I had to go back to work and go back to my job? And I was like, that would really suck. And then I'm just like, I'm so grateful that I don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's like I had to go back, but I got to go back when I wanted to, you know, and I took like a pretty long, like 14 weeks of a maternity leave. But even then, like I was saying to Jenna, like, I don't know if I'm coming back. I don't know. Like, you know, obviously
I don't
here I
blame
am.
you. I totally
It was
understand.
But
So
in some
hard.
conversations, she's like, "Well, maybe I'll come. I'm not going to be able to be gone that long."
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm going to come back early, but maybe not. Like,
Because you
Yeah.
also do, you're like, I want to get out of the house and like
Right.
feel normal again. And I remember
and you don't know how
showing-
you're going to feel in the moment.
Yeah, I showed up to work that first day and I was like walking in with my sunglasses on because I was like ready to just lose it. Like I could cry right now just thinking about it. But then halfway through the day, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so nice. Like I'm me again. I'm Brooklyn in my career, like doing what I love with my clients. I don't have to worry about a baby right now. I don't have to be mom Brooklyn. I just get to be hairdresser Brooklyn right now, you know? So there is freedom in finding that too, you know, and finding that balance and being, like you said, being intentional and present wherever you're at in that moment. Like, because you can still move forward and do something else with your career and still be intentional with your time with Harlow at home and appreciate, you know.
Well, I think it's recognizing what's going on inside of you first, right? So, like, if you feel like you need a break, take the break. But if you're like, I don't want to go, but I feel like I have to, but I want to be here, then stay. Just listen to your intuition, because you want to be considerate of your future self. And you don't want to put unnecessary guilt on your future self, because she's going to have to pay for that later. So be nice to your future self and recognize what it is that's going on in you in the moment, and pay attention to that and give that the attention that it needs. So
Yeah.
if you need the
Well
break,
said.
take the break.
Yeah.
If you want to be with the child, be with the child.
Yeah.
And the guilt thing, I'll just say this too. I think that the bonding is so important in the beginning, but I can also tell you my kids don't remember shit from the beginning.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I freaking, like, when I left my husband, I threw my daughter the most extravagant birthday party you could ever think of, with horses, a petting zoo, a freaking castle, like a 3-story cake. She don't remember any of it.
It's still like
It's for you. It's not for them.
it still like shapes who they are though, right? Like, because if you like eye contact with the child is super important.
yeah.
It helps them like letting them cry too long creates trust issues and like things like that you hear about. So
Well, when
even if
you're
they don't
with them.
remember,
Yeah.
it still is.
Exactly. When
it's
you're
still
with
doing
them.
good.
Yeah.
Totally. When
I don't
you're with
know
them, you
how
need to
much.
have that intention.
Yeah, all those things like not letting him cry too long. I don't know. I
don't know how much of it I believe either.
Yeah, I don't know. Could it be true psychology? Yeah, but
bonding for sure is going to
well,
whether they remember it or not, it's definitely shaping who they are as an individual.
And that, like how Jenna, how you were saying earlier, like if your priority is to want to spend time with your kid, then like now is not the time to build and stuff like that. And I am, especially really recently, like been chatting with Andy, and like we are at a place where we want to build and grow and do stuff with a business. And I have that mom guilt, but Andy and I talked about it, and he was like, but what matters more is like time with him right now, or give us 5 years to like put our heads down, do the work, do what we need to do. And then when he's at soccer practice, when he's 5, you can be there and you don't have to be in the salon and you don't have to worry about it, you know? So like also finding that like letting go of the guilt for right now and being like, he is my priority, but I'm doing this for him for the future. Like you said, like you're doing it for your future
as long as you are accepting of that. Like that's my point. As long as you're, and knowing that it could not happen too. You know what I mean? Like you have to know, like you could be at his soccer practices at 7 and still be hustling. You know what I mean? It could, and as long as you're okay with that, then keep going. Like I would never detour somebody from like pursuing their dreams and like wanting to own shit, because I think that's amazing. I just am also on the other end of it, and like obviously like I kept thinking, you know, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this, and I'm still doing it. You know what I mean? So I feel like
because life happens.
Well, and especially at this point in my life, I feel like I'm at the perfect position now to like go for it. You know what I mean? Like my daughter's in her last year of high school. Like obviously, like I cancel my appointments when she has games. I make sure that I can be there because it's her last year. But like my son's in college, there's no guilt there. Like I'm running for the hills right now. Like I am putting everything I have into it as long as I'm there for her during those special things. And I am balls to the walls right now. But again, like there is still no guarantee, but it's hard. I think, again, just following your gut, following your intuition, and whatever that is, like go for it. Whatever you're not going to have guilt about later, because it could happen, it could not happen.
I feel like, is there a reality where like you just don't have guilt about anything? I don't know.
I feel like I'm okay right now.
That's good.
With my kids, at least. Like, I've let go of a lot of the guilt that I had. I had to do a lot of self-reflecting. I had to really, like, my husband's been great about that and telling me, like, you did great, and, like, just reassuring me of, like, I'm a great mom. But I had other people that were, like, would remind me of things that I've done in my past, and it would harbor this guilt. And I'm, like, at that place now where I'm just like, no, I did my best. I was a teenage mom. Yes, I had a couple crazy years, but, like, I feel like I'm kind of, like, okay, like, we're good. You know, now we're in the next chapter. What do we do now? And so there is hope of like there's little less guilt when it comes to your kids, at least.
Well, that's good to know.
There's other sections that you can feel guilt in, but.
Okay, well, any of you mompreneurs out there, give us all the
tips and tricks in the comments below.
Or your experiences, from what you did if you have older kids too.
Okay, well, we are going to get out of here. Thanks, you guys. Until next time.
Bye.
We encourage you to always do your own research and form your own opinions. Nothing one person says on this podcast goes for everyone here. Each individual speaking is speaking only for themselves and no one else on the podcast. Now that that's out of the way, let's get started.